always good for placing, getting that top 10, top 20 spot on the majors, not missing cuts. But he never wins the tournament. So if you're looking for someone to round out a lineup, that you're trying to make money off of, Matsuyama's always a great pick. But if you're just looking to pick the winner, look elsewhere. Not big on Zach Johnson, not big on Bubba Watson, although Bubba Watson has the craftiness and creativeness that could, if you can string it together for 4 consecutive rounds, can win you a British Open. So he's got an outside chance, but I'm not big on him. Patrick Reed's having a great season. Not huge on him for this tournament. Charles Schwartzel I like a lot for this tournament. Matt Kuchar I like a lot for this tournament. Snedeker and Furyk are both okay names with an outside chance. Now maybe a lesser-known name or two that will probably have a good showing, but not necessarily be in the final pairing on Sunday. Russell Knox, great up-and-coming golfer, having a great year, as well as Jason Duffner. Jimmy Walker could be a sleeper veteran this weekend that's kind of under the radar so far this season, but this, he's got the game, and this could be his moment as well for him. J.B. Holmes having a pretty good year. Kevin Na is always a good value pick as well. If you're looking for people to fill out a lineup, making a cut, stuff like that. I like Harris English as well in this tournament. Ryan Moore is not too bad. Robert Palmer, Brandon Steele, again trying to give you, some value names that will have good showing. And Nost, K-N-O-S-T, I think it's Charles. He's having a really good year too, and like his all-around game as well, and how it translates into a normal British Open. But so those are all the names that I've got an eye on, and the different tiers that I see them on and competing at in this week's upcoming British Open on the PGA Tour, the third major of the year. Yeah, awesome. Great week for sports. So I think we'll do 2 more quickie topics, and then our final topic, which will segue into our closing segment, Balls Deep Thought of the Day. But so for our first of our 2 final super quickie topics, we will go slightly, just briefly, vaguely, generally, into the world of professional football. And the story in NFL football is this: if you are a Minnesota Vikings fan, you absolutely need to go to VikingsDigitalDiaries.com this week. And if it's not up yet when you check after listening to the Balls Deep here, just keep rechecking it. It'll be up Wednesday or Thursday sometime for sure. But you cannot miss my interview on VikingsDigitalDiaries.com this week. It is as epic and huge and iconic. It's as big as it gets. It really is as big as it gets. I'm not saying that there aren't other people that I could interview that would, rival or arguably be as big. But it doesn't get any bigger. Doesn't get any bigger than the Vikings guest that I am interviewing on VikingsDigitalDiaries.com this week. I cannot wait. I am still in a semi-state of shock that it is even happening, but I do not want to spoil it and tell you who it is. So what you need to do is you need to check VikingsDigitalDiaries.com for this week's Scotty Ball interview as soon as it is up. I will have it all over my Facebook and Twitter as well, so you will know that if you're connected with me on social media. Scotty-Ball on Facebook, at BDST Show on Twitter. And then after that has all transpired, I then expect you to go shout it from the mountaintops and spread the word to everyone you know who is a Vikings fan that they need to go to VikingsDigitalDiaries.com this week and listen to my interview, because it's just, I can't even believe it's happening. So that's the football news for this week. VikingsDigitalDiaries.com. I have the biggest interview of my life, and it won't ever be able to be topped. It could only be matched. So you're just going to have to tune in to check it out. Now, our final quickie topic of the show here brings us back to the world of professional wrestling. I feel like I brought up pretty much everything that needed to be brought up on the WWE in the outline itself, with the exception of the fact that the Battleground pay-per-view is taking place this following Sunday, the next Sunday. So not this upcoming Sunday here, the 16th, or I don't know, whatever the heck it is, 17th, I think. Yeah, 17th. Not the 17th, but the Sunday after the 17th is WWE's Battleground pay-per-view. We'll preview that hopefully next week, doing a show 2 weeks in a row. Oh my gosh, is the goal here. We'll preview that for you then. But in additional pro wrestling news, the WWE Network has the CWC going on. That is the Cruiserweight Classic Tournament, where we've got little guy wrestlers from all around the world competing in a tournament on WWE Network. Likely that the winner or a couple of them will get offered some kinds of contracts. It's really, really high quality technical wrestling performances with awesome commentary provided by Mauro Ranallo and Daniel Bryan. Highly recommend checking it out if you have time and have the WWE Network. Also, big WWE match on NXT tomorrow night with Finn Balor versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Are you kidding? That's just, oh my gosh, that's going to be out of this world. And then, to top it all off, tomorrow night you've got part 2 of the 3-part Season 2 finale of Lucha Underground, Ultima Lucha Dos. The part 1 first hour of it last week was as epic and awesome as anything from year one, and as you would expect with every show that Lucha Underground puts on. This second of the 3 weeks looks to be equally, if not more, entertaining. It's going to feature my girl, Carly Perez, better known as Katrina, with managing Mil Muertes in a match versus King Cuerno. It's going to be just the whole match card on all 3 installments of the Ultima Lucha Dos. Is just, it's off the charts. It's amazing. It's the best wrestling entertainment ever manufactured on this earth, period. And so you need to watch that on Wednesday nights on the El Rey Network at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Set your DVR, search your frickin' your guide, your program guide ahead of time if you're not sure what channel the El Rey Network is on. But if you are a wrestling fan, you have to be watching this, or you get your card permanently revoked for the rest of your life. You don't get to call yourself a wrestling fan. You don't get to consider yourself a wrestling fan. You don't get to watch wrestling anymore, man. Well, I can't. I don't know how to enforce that, but anyway, you get the point. If you're a wrestling fan, you need to be watching Lucha Underground. It is the finale, the final 2 episodes of their season 2. Season 3 has already been taped and possibly is done taping, and I know that a lot of the stars, now their contracts are up at the end of Season 3, and they are just waiting until Season 3 is done airing to start negotiating contracts in WWE. Stars with speculated to be doing that are Prince Puma and Cage, amongst others. So that'll be another thing to keep an eye on here, but that won't transpire for about another year or so. Again, even though their contractual obligations to perform with Lucha Underground are fulfilled at the time, they are not contractually allowed, it's not permissible for them to work under another televised promotion company while those episodes still have yet to be aired on TV. So, explanation there, but gotta watch Lucha Underground, Ultima Lucha Dos. We only got 2 more episodes this season. Don't miss them. And so that brings us to our final topic of the day, which will segue into Balls Deep Thought of the Day, and that is the sport of Major League Baseball. As I mentioned, we are currently enjoying the All-Star break of Major League Baseball. Here, I told you I'm recording this late Sunday night, very early, or late Tuesday night, very early Wednesday morning. So the All-Star game took place tonight as I'm recording this. But before we get to that, I want to just briefly touch on my and possibly your Minnesota Twins, who as of late have been turning it around, getting some wins, beating the Rangers multiple times, for crying out loud, the best team in the American League. They've finally got a couple youthful players providing production and surging and performing well. Obviously, all year that's been the case for our all-star representative at shortstop, Mr. Nunez. But as of late, as of the past month or so, that has also included right fielder Max Kepler. And now, as of this past week, since he's been called up, he was called up for like 1 week. And in that 1 week, all he did was win the American League Player of the Week award, first baseman / DH, Kenny Vargas, of all people. I am not a Vargas guy. I've never been a Vargas guy. And I did not see this one coming. So it is fantastic to see that some of the Twins youth, we've got enough of it. We've got tons of youth that's supposed to have talent, and it's finally just nice to see a couple of them seeming to put the pieces together, and it's clicking for them. And no big shocker that that's resulting in wins. I mean, in their last 10 games, the Twins are 7-3. They're the best team in the Central in the last 10 games heading into the All-Star break. Are you kidding me? They're still so far out of it, it's not even close. Don't think about turning it around like that. But finally, seeing the youth produce, it's fantastic. And this wasn't against slouch competition either. Like I said, this was against the best team in the American League, the Texas Rangers, amongst others. So really surprising and impressive. And it's possible that they just kind of checked out for the All-Star break early as well. But anyway, real quick look at the standings, and then we will get to the All-Star game stuff and our Balls Deep Thought of the day. In the Central, in first place is the Cleveland Indians, and they have a 6.5 game lead over the second place Detroit Tigers. And then the White Sox and Royals both 7 games back at 45 and 43, and then the Twins 20 games back at 32 and 56. Still very much 2 games ahead of the Rays for the worst team in the American League. Speaking of the Rays, they're the worst team in the American League East with 34 and 54. They trail the first place Baltimore Orioles in the East by 17.5 games. The Red Sox trail them by 2 games. The Blue Jays trail them by 2 games. My preseason pick in that division, and out of it to represent the American League in the World Series. And then the Yankees at 44 and 44, 7.5 games behind first at 500. Out west, as I mentioned, the best team in the American League up until this point in the season, the Rangers 54 and 36, but on a bit of a skid here entering the All-Star break, 3 and 7 in their last 10 games. Houston Astros finally have gotten it turned around and got that ship consistent. They started off absolutely terrible, but lo and behold, now they are 7 games above 500 at 48 and 41, and only 5.5 games back out of first place, trailing the best team in all of baseball. And they are actually, yes, they are contending now right in the mix for one of those 2 wild card spots. The Mariners trail them. They're 45 and 44. Athletics are 38 and 51. And the Angels of Anaheim, arguably the most surprising disappointment in all of baseball this year, at 37 and 52. They are borderline Twins bad. And they've got Hall of Fame MVP still in their prime, giant payroll talent in the pitching staff and in the everyday players as well. So, that one's a head scratcher. Out in the National League, we've got the Nationals having a great season. They are tied with the Cubs for the best team. No, they're not. They're tied with the Cubs for the second best team in the National League, as the Cubs have finally hit a bit of a downside, or a bit of a schneid, as I like to say, in their season. We'll get to them momentarily. But anyway, the Nationals first place in the East, NL East, at 54 and 36. 6 games behind them, tied for second, are the Mets and the Marlins, both sporting a 47 and 41 record. I love to see my Marlins there contending, as I predicted as well. Then behind them, we've got the Phillies at 42 and 48, and the very lowly Braves at 31 and 58. Claiming, once again, the worst team in all of baseball title, away from the Minnesota Twins, who held it for way too long. Out in the Central, as I mentioned, the Cubs are still in first, but they are 2 and 8 in their last 10 games. Still 53 and 35, though 7 games in first yet, above second place St. Louis Cardinals, 7.5 games above the Pirates, who are 3 games above 500. And then you've got the Brewers at 38 and 49, and the Reds at 32 and 57. 32 and 57. That's 1 more loss than the Twins. The Twins are the 3rd worst team in baseball. We went from worst to 3rd worst. Yes, it's all coming together, baby. All right, and then out west we have the best team in all of baseball as of right now, record-wise, and it's an even-numbered year, so they, based off of 2000, based off of this decade's history, they're